Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Sara Mehle, Index Research Strategist with Nasdaq Investment Intelligence, for an update on Nasdaq Index's performance for the month of July. Sara, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to TradeTalks, and it's no surprise to see that a majority of these indexes were up in July.
Hey, Jill, good to be here. It's kind of crazy to me that we're already speaking about July performance or reviewing it. But yeah, you're right. So out of the 107 indexes that we track in this particular report that we're reviewing today, 93 finished in positive territory. Across all 107, the average July gain was 3.4%. The best performing overall and of the Nasdaq featured indexes, as you'll see here on this chart, is the KBW Nasdaq Bank Index, up over 11%. Within this Nasdaq featured index lineup, we also saw strength for the Nasdaq 100 technology sector. The Nasdaq 100 itself gained 3.8% and has now moved higher now for the last 5 months. It's been up every month of this year, with the exception of February. We saw a flat month there, but really those last 5 months, we've seen significant gains each month. The Nasdaq Innovators Completion Cap was the relative laggard, despite a gain of 2.2% within that Nasdaq featured index lineup. And then within the global index lineup, we saw significant strength from U.S. Small Caps, up 6.4%. Also saw some strength in emerging, as well as some APAC ex-Japan and mid caps.
And if we take a look at the next set of indexes over here, it seems as if the Nordic indexes were the lone losers this month.
Yeah, we saw mostly negative action there in the Nordics. The one positive and the best performing of the group was the Nasdaq OMX Nordic 120, up about 50 basis points or 0.5%. Within the Nasdaq Green Economy suite, we saw strength from global waters, the Nasdaq OMX Global Water Index, up 3.3%, followed not too behind by the Nasdaq OMX U.S Water Index. And the real laggard of this particular group here was the wind group, or the wind index, down 1.7%. Within the Nasdaq Dividend and Income Suite, we saw strength once again, another strong month here for the Nasdaq U.S Mid Cap Rising Dividend Achievers Index, up 6.9%. Also saw strength here from international buybacks, but this is the second consecutive month that we've seen that U.S Mid Cap Rising outperform here within this group.
And what about the momentum and options indexes?
Yeah, so it was a mostly positive month as well for the Dorsey Wright indexes, and the relative strength and momentum factor here. All but one finished in positive territory. The average gain across the group was 4.4%. The top performing, surprisingly, was the Dorsey Wright Energy Technical Leaders Index, up 11%. We haven't seen that one at the top here for a little while, but nice to see that energy index is back at the top, followed by the Dorsey Wright Financials Technical Leaders Index, and then the Dorsey Wright Consumer Cyclicals Index. The only one here to finish in negative territory for the month was the Dorsey Wright Healthcare Index, down about 4%, as we saw weakness overall in healthcare and especially biotechs, as we'll see next. But in the options suite, we saw strength from the Credit Suisse WTI crude oil flows 106 index, up 10%. Also saw strength there from the silver related, as well as the Nasdaq 100 quarterly protected put 90 index.
And finally, the thematic and tech indexes.
Yep, so getting to our last slide here, within the thematic lineup, we saw all but one finish in positive territory. It seems to be the story across the board here. There's always one laggard. But the average return across this group was 4.2%. The leader was the Nasdaq CTA Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, up over 10%. So not surprising to see that artificial there at the top. We also saw strength from emerging cloud, as well as the Nasdaq CTA Internet Index. And the weakness here was from the Nasdaq Global Disruptive Tech Index, down about 1%. But again, not necessarily a outperformer or underperformer, but that Nasdaq Biotech Index and the Nasdaq Lux Health Tech relative laggards when we look at the rest of the group. But overall, like I said, strength in artificial intelligence and robotics, emerging cloud, internet, global digital payments, and U.S. smart semiconductor. So that wraps up the July performance review. Today kicks off the first official trading day of August, and we look forward to seeing what this month brings and updating you next month.
All right. Appreciate the updates as always, Sara. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.